Is Donald Trump the Antichrist?
The key to Middle East peace, I made Middle East peace. For 3,000 years, they couldn't do it. I did it. And I did it with some very good partners in Israel. Prophets say the world will come to an end in the Middle East. You know that, right? And we have weapons today that are so scary. When you look, I rebuilt them all. You know, there are great philosophers that said the world will end in the Middle East. We're not going to let that happen. You've heard that expression.
Yeah.
They said the world will end someday in the Middle East.
2 weeks ago, on Orthodox Easter Sunday, Donald Trump posted an AI-generated image of himself to Truth Social, wearing white robes, one hand radiating light, the other resting on the head of a sick man. He deleted it within hours. When reporters asked what it depicted, Trump said he thought it wasn't Jesus, it was showing him as a doctor.
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one.
His own evangelical allies called it blasphemy. Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote that it was more than blasphemy. It's an antichrist spirit. So the question is live, not just from his critics, but from the congregation that put him there. Now don't worry, I'm not Peter Thiel. I'm not going to start labelling people as the Antichrist. But there is something genuinely interesting buried in this question. The word most people translate as Lucifer comes from the Latin lux ferre, light bringer. The evil connotation came later, grafted on by centuries of interpretation. In its original sense, a light bringer is simply someone who illuminates what was hidden. And the original Lucifer is not, in the oldest readings, a figure of supreme evil. He is something more poignant than that. A being who wanted to be more than he was, who reached for a greatness he could not sustain and then fell. Not wicked, but insufficient. Undone by the wound of never feeling like enough. Does this sound familiar? If you know anything about Donald Trump's relationship with his father, the coldness, the conditional approval, the shadow that followed him into every tower he built and every room he had to dominate, that portrait is not unfamiliar. Which brings me to the one thing that Donald Trump could do that no American president before him has done. In February, he signed an executive order directing the declassification of UAP records, the most significant executive action on this subject in American history. Representative Anna Paulina Luna has demanded 46 classified video files from the Pentagon by name, date, and location. She speaks now openly about interdimensional beings existing and the US having proof of this. The Pentagon missed her deadline. Whistleblowers say the footage exists and what it contains will fundamentally challenge our understanding of what governments have been concealing and what it means to be a human being. If Trump actually forces that into the open, then by the word's original meaning, he would have been the light bringer. But the oldest readings of Lucifer don't end in revelation. They end in collapse because the motivation was never truth, it was glory. The need to be seen as the one who delivered it. Mercy, forgiveness, genuine strength. These are what the figure Trump impersonates on Easter Sunday actually embodied. Everything his presidency is not. Whether the files are released will tell us whether his administration delivers light or merely promises it. But a being driven by the hunger to be enough, that is not a villain. It is something sadder, in many ways more dangerous. I've been thinking a lot about Trump not as an aberration, but as a manifestation, the living shadow of a civilization that never did the inner work. That's the subject of my next book, and the more I sit with it, the more I think that the Antichrist framing, even metaphorically, is less useful than the Jungian one. The shadow doesn't want to destroy the light, it wants to be mistaken for it.